Hello and welcome to a brand new episode of Dinks with Kinks. Before we get into tonight's episode, I want to remind all you sexy people that we are on that social media and we want to talk to you. Go to @DinksWithKinks on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. And we have a brand new live stream where you can totally see our faces and talk to us live at twitch.tv/thedondero. All the links are below in the description. So, woo! Hi, I am your host tonight, John Dondero. And with me, as always, the man who invented the poncho, Mr. Shep.
What? But good evening, I guess, maybe?
Both Shep and I had this face of, what?
Okay. And the woman who will always require you to use them, Miss Rebecca.
Oh my God. What? Hello, everyone. I don't even know what to say to that.
Listen, if you're not about my intros,
was fitting.
I love your intros. They're my faves. They're my faves.
Really? Mm-hmm.
They make me
So
happy. They do make me happy. Intros. I love the intros only because I'm like, oh my God, what is he gonna say this week? It's like the Wheel of Kink. Like, I didn't want to see it because it's always like, it's that anticipation. I edge on the intros.
And then when it becomes a train wreck, we just ride the train wreck all the way in.
We just ride it hard until it's done.
Our intros are never a train wreck. Neither is the Wheel of Kinks. We always do quality, good content. Content that you can be proud of. How much have you been drinking?
I am proud of it.
I haven't drank yet. I mean, occasionally we have a wet flop, or like a soggy episode, or an episode that really brings moisture to your eyes, face. But
it's that moist flesh. It's that moist flesh.
Moist flesh. I think all in all, our podcast is pretty well put together with both infotainment, information, infotainment.
Okay.
All right. So what are we talking about tonight?
Aren't we talking about squirting? Isn't that what? Now, squirting is like a new trend, or it's not trending. I mean, it's not like a trend, like it just started, but like it's trending.
It's a flowing trend.
It's a flowing trend.
It is currently trending. Like, you're not wrong. I mean, I've always been aware of the existence of squirting as like a fetish or like a kink. But until this year, I had never experienced it personally. And what squirting is, maybe we should let the biological female explain what we're talking about. I don't want to mansplain the processes of a woman's body.
No, you know what? I want to hear you mansplain it. I do. For entertainment value, entertainment and informational value, please mansplain squirting to me.
I will if you agree to give the proper definition or explanation.
Okay, fine. Deal.
All right. So what you have is a vajayjay, a vagine, if you might. And when it becomes stimulated in such a fashion, it can expel large amounts of fluid outside of it. Now, a lot of people think this is urine. It is not, in fact, urine. I have been peed on before. I know what that smells like. I know what that feels like. It's not pee. It would be more or less considered a female ejaculate. That sometimes their partner can trigger, sometimes only they can trigger. How did I do?
That was really good. That was actually really good. That was a good...
Was it really?
Yeah.
Wow, I should start mansplaining everything. That's what I'm going to start doing from now on.
Absolutely not, because you'll get cut.
Were you saying that me, as a cis white male, doesn't know the woman's body better than she does?
I mean, yeah, of course.
All right. Just making sure. Go ahead and fill me in what I did miss.
Okay, I will actually read you like a technical term.
I like that. Okay.
You're getting technical with us.
I am. Squirting sometimes involves secretions from the Skene's gland. The Skene's glands are sometimes called the female prostate because they function similarly to the male prostate. A squirting orgasm is sometimes called female ejaculation, but this term excludes non-binary and trans people who are not female but have vaginas. A recent study has shown that there's a difference between squirting, female ejaculation, and incontinence during sex. However, the term squirting is used to describe all three in everyday language.
Okay. Well, since we've already covered water sports, I think we should stick with female ejaculation. Or, ejaculation from a vagina. So that way we're not gendifying it. We are sticking with the science because we are inclusive here. We believe that you don't have to be female to have a vagina. Sometimes it's just the parts you have. Mm-hmm. Like I said, I got one in a jar in the back of the closet.
Yeah, so
break it out.
Ejaculation, it's just vajaculation.
It's vajaculation.
Vajaculation. Okay.
I like it. That's the new word for it. We are no longer calling it squirting.
You're welcome, society.
We're calling vajaculation.
Vajaculation.
You're welcome.
I am actually very relieved to see the uptick in popularity and interest in this kink or fetish because I squirt. I am a squirter. And I remember being younger and in my 20s and doing it for the first time and being incredibly embarrassed, like devastatingly embarrassed. So much to the point to where I was very conscious of my orgasms and I was very reserved about it. And yeah, so I'm actually very relieved to see that this is becoming a more mainstream acceptable thing.
I mean, it does sound like a very relieving act. So
it's actually a very messy act. It's very, if you're doing it right, it can. Waterproof
I can attest to that.
Scuba Steve can attest to that.
Scuba Steve.
Yeah. This is definitely a Gallagher-worthy episode. And if you guys don't know who Gallagher is, he was a stand-up comedian. He used to smosh watermelons. You'd always wear a poncho. He
smoshed it good.
He smoshed it good. Believe this or not, I had never experienced, I had been aware of squirting, but I had never been with a partner before the end of last year. I had never been with a partner who squirted. And now every partner I've had since then has been a squirter, and I'm very happy that people are feeling more comfortable about it because I'm pretty sure I have been with squirters, but like you said, the self-consciousness, and they just don't feel comfortable talking about it. And like I said, I've never portrayed somebody who was just like, oh no, that's gross, no thank you. But yeah, there is a stigmatism behind it for a lot of people.
Yeah, and for those of us who are squirted, because not everybody does it. So, I think that is something that I need to as the female of this podcast, for those males or, for those people who are trying to please their lady, and not every woman does it. So, yes, you can try, but don't think that you're failing if they don't. Not everybody does it.
Also, it's not always, and I've talked with a couple people about it. It's not always the most pleasurable act. I'm not saying it's unpleasant. I'm saying it's not the most pleasurable to them.
And it doesn't necessarily mean orgasm either. I know there have been times where I have squirted and not orgasmed. So it's not necessarily, I mean, it's pleasurable, but it's also not, and it's not like, oh, she squirted, I must be the greatest thing since sliced bread. Not necessarily.
Exactly.
No.
This is not the end all.
She squirted. I can put this extra lube down now. We're good.
Yeah. All right. We're good for at least another 30 minutes.
It is not the end all in pleasure. I mean, though for some people it might be. this is not a panel discussing whether or not it is the end all pleasure. It's just a process that happens. It's like whistling. Not everyone can whistle, and not everyone's good at it, and not everyone enjoys doing it. That said, uh, it has had like a major resurgence, and I'm wondering, like, is there a particular reason? Is this just where we're at, or is this something that has come about through a sexual awakening where we are being more liberated in the act of doing it?
I
Is this because of TikTok?
this well, it's always because of TikTok. I'm gonna take a guess. This is not based on any research. It is totally speculation on my part. As a female, as an identifying female, I am feeling we are in a time now where women are feeling more comfortable with their bodies, who they are sexually. And I mean, especially after the pandemic with being by yourself, like sex toys took an upswing, like women got to know their bodies and women got comfortable with their bodies and who they are and their sexuality. And that is a major component to squirting. Yes, you can force yourself to squirt, but I know for me, when you are relaxed and you feel safe and comfortable within your body, it is like an instantaneous thing for me. So I honestly feel that might be an upswing of why it's becoming a thing.
Well, you guys heard it here first on Dinks with Kinks. COVID caused squirting. So
puppy playing squirting, apparently.
Yep. It is a symptom of COVID that vaginas start squirting. So just that's hard facts, and we're here to support it.
And I think that the reason that porn, it's becoming a more popular porn to look up because confidence is sexy. Confidence is sexy, and men like, oh, like, look at that. That's hot. She's like, I think that's also another reason it's upswing, because women are more confident in themselves and they're more comfortable in their bodies. And this is a result of it. And so men are finding that more attractive.
I mean, absolutely. I'm 100% behind all of this. Now, I will say, because I had a partner probably going on 20 years ago, and she used to love watching squirt porn, where people would squirt and all that, and she would get off on it really well, but she could not squirt. Like I said, until late last year, I had never experienced it before. And boy, when I did, it was an event. It was like one of those things where you're like, oh, you were not prepared for this to happen. It just happens, and then there you are, and it is like going down the flume ride at Carowinds or a theme park. It is, but it's fun. You're excited to be there. You're just like, woo, it's happening.
Oh,
but I'm not wrong.
My God. Shep, take over for a minute. I'm going to need a second.
You listen, you just tell me how I'm wrong, okay?
I mean, I wasn't going to say much more better in this case, because I was thinking, knowing society, it would be next thing to evolve from this would be like the new fad of super cleansing facials to really open your pores on the receiver ends.
Well, we are absolutely going to be talking about that here soon. The different ways and people appreciate it. I, on the one hand, was the flume. My penis was the flume ride in this thing. And yeah, it was a lot of fluid. And I have learned. I wasn't opposed to it. This is not a negative thing. This is just my firsthand experience being somebody who was very sexually active beforehand and afterwards, and experiencing this for the first time. It is something it's something to appreciate, because when it happens, everything's intense. Usually it's a moment of great intensity. I don't know if that's for like the several people I've experienced it with since. It has been a great moment of intensity. Would I be correct?
He started off with a little dabble, do ya? And then he's moved on to a little wish, do ya?
A little gush. Yeah. A little gush will do you.
So now we're going to... Oh,
Yeah,
go ahead.
I think it's an intense thing. I know that it usually involves for me. It like you can't. It's not a gentle thing. It's not when you're doing the soft, loving thing. No, like it's hardcore, intense. You're doing all the stuff. Like
Yeah,
you can.
honestly, and like I said, there are many different ways to trigger this event. It could be everything
Mhm.
from toy play, because some people can't. You know, some people can only do this at, if they can only do it one way. Like only this one action is going to make this happen. And for me, it has been everything from toy play to hand play to what is it, oral sex, and then regular sex. And for each person, it was very unique to them.
And sometimes it's just firm and steady pressure.
Steady pressure.
Ooh.
Yes, that is very true.
And one time through anal sex, but it was like normal squirting. It wasn't backdoor squirting. It was.
That's
normal.
Good.
Yeah.
I mean,
So
that
I didn't know that
happens
was
too.
possible. Yeah, I didn't know that was
the
possible.
back end caused a little leakage.
I didn't know that was possible either. That's fun. That's like a fun thing. That's like
My balls were on the flume ride that day. Sorry, couldn't help myself. Sorry, folks. I apologize.
A better
Sorry,
visual
not
will
sorry.
be like in that kind of predicament, you can like aim them and target. Say, wait, what targets we can hit?
I know that I don't do it via like dildo or like dick penetration. I was gonna say penile, but that sounded very clinical.
Yeah, no, but penetration.
I mean,
Penetration doesn't do it for you.
Well, no, because I do have toys that are G spot. They are shaped in the way that touches that in the G spot in me, and I do. So it's not necessarily not penetration.
Penetration alone.
It's angular penetration.
It has to be angular. Yes, it has to be angular. It cannot be straight.
Angular.
Angular.
Okay, cool.
It's an angrier angle.
Well, apparently I'm giving everybody like a roadmap into my back.
I mean, honestly, I think something like this, it helps having the perspective of someone who does do it, because like I said, everyone is very different. So knowing your roadmap doesn't necessarily mean you know the roadmap. You just you know Miss Rebecca's roadmap. That it's like a key. Only locks a certain way.
And now that we've taken to Squirting 101, let us now apply it to the kink and fetish scene.
Okay, go ahead. Continue.
I was saying you might want to shift gears and kind of mix in the fetish stuff into here too.
No, this
we're here to
fetish.
This is the fetish.
This is absolutely the fetish. The science behind it is absolutely the fetish. People who enjoy this have either a fetish for it or a kink for it, and they really get off on it. It's not just doing it a certain way. It's just everything about it. Because a lot of these porns and stuff like that, it's not, oh, so-and-so squirts while doing this, or they use this with the fluid. It's just the act of.
Well, yeah, and then but on the receiver side, you would have those types that are, super fixated on being a receiver of such an act.
Oh, I mean, yeah.
Yes.
I know of several people, and I'm not going to say men because women as well, who really enjoy making somebody squirt. It is very sexually pleasing for them because it's a satisfying thing, like almost like a trophy. Like a trophy seems like wrong, like a act that I'm pleasing my partner, and that's, I mean, it isn't necessarily the case, but in your head, that's sort of what they love making somebody squirt, because to them it's a But I like watching men ejaculate. I think that's hot. So I mean, it's the same process. You feel like you're doing a good job. It's that whole, ooh, look at that. Like, look at what I did. Like, it's one of those. Look what I did.
While discussing this with several people through like the past year, because I've been talking this for a while, I have actually met more females who get off watching somebody squirt than men. And like I said, that's small sample radius, so this is not hard facts. We're not like breaking out the charts, the sums, the calculations, but several lesbian and bisexual, we can. But that's just a Google search, and if you were Google searching this already, you probably found some great videos, and you're not listening to this podcast for this. But I have found that more lesbian and bisexual women are incredibly aroused by making their partner do this act by squirting than I have found men. Men are just like, it's hot, but I could take it or leave it. So I feel like it, at least in my experience, it's more of a female-driven trophy as far as that kink goes. Which is weird. The reason I bring that up is because a lot of the fetishes and kinks we cover are very male-centric. And it's very refreshing to see one that's like, not only is this female related, but it's very LGBT friendly, and I'm excited about that.
So, Shep, what was the first experience you had with somebody squirting?
Can't say that I really have.
Have you never experienced it?
Secondarily, I witnessed, but never experienced.
Okay.
There were other people doing other things, And I just happened to be in the area.
I think, honestly, that
were
may
you in
be
the splash zone? Please tell me you were in the splash zone.
No, it was in the splash zone. Unfortunately, though, there was this one time where an old computer chair was, and man, I missed that computer chair. Poor thing.
You didn't get rid of the computer chair, did you?
You
didn't get rid of the computer chair, did you?
Oh, no, it didn't survive. Yeah, it didn't survive.
Oh, fair enough. Fair enough. And I think maybe that's why it's more female-driven, because up until recently, it wasn't trending. There are many, many, many male people out there who've never even experienced this. Because either they have made their partner uncomfortable about it, or their female partner has felt uncomfortable. And typically more women feel more comfortable if you're in a relationship or sexual activity with a woman. You both know what's happening down there. You both kind of have an idea what's going on because you have similar equipment.
Yeah.
So you were aware of this process.
Yeah, and I believe in general I've had some partners in the past that could have done it, but I guess oftentimes in those scenarios they weren't really comfortable enough with themselves to let themselves do it, because they would immediately halt things if they felt things building up and stuff.
And you can tell it's not just something that just happens, like it's like sexual incontinence, which is different. Like that's where you urinate during sex. Like, but you can tell when you're getting ready to squirt. Like it is what everybody's different. Everybody's tell is different, but you can tell and you can stop yourself. Like you're like, okay, we're gonna try something else. We're gonna do something else, or we're gonna whatever. Like,
mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And just
absolutely, this is.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
It's like, make sure we cover all the potential origin stories as we do. How are we feeling about can this be an after effect, or too much excitement on, or maybe some accidents and bad spills on a slip and slide?
Like what creates this fetish?
Enjoyment of having the water splashing in your face at the fast speeds all the time.
No, honestly, I don't think honestly, I think this is one of those very instinctual fetishes. Mm-hmm. This is not something that, this is not a media-driven fetish. This is not a, like, trauma-based fetish. This is probably not even my brain was wired wrong, so I like this kind of like a like foot fetish where your actual nerve endings have crossed in a certain pattern. I think this falls anything under maybe even primal when it comes to like fetish or anything, any type of that nature, because most people don't have anything. That experience is like nothing I have ever experienced. I have been on slip and slides. I have been pies thrown at me. I have experienced a lot of things, and that was the first time I experienced it. Was definitely an experience. And then right then and there, I knew if this was for me or not. And I was pretty okay with it. I was like, yeah. Not something I'm going to go hunt down in my lifetime, but I am never angry when it happens. I'm never going to be like, yes, do this for me.
I'm hunting squirters.
Yeah. So this is absolutely a fetish or kink that you just know when it happens. And I think most females have it because they associate their own pleasure with it. So when they're, experiencing somebody who's experiencing that pleasure, it's a real endorphin high. Men who have experienced it and seen what it can potentially do, because it is a very intense situation. When it happens, it's all hands on deck, and it is an event. And I think that's why a lot of men get off on this, because they've experienced it. They know the feeling of watching their partner have this exquisite pleasure on their face, and that gets them off. This is very much a...
Oh, sorry. Yes, go ahead.
This is very much a pleasing kink. Like, if you have it to receive it, it is very much a self-driven, I like my partner being pleased. I get off on your pleasure.
I can see this being a future TikTok, too. For dry, red eyes, squirters are awesome.
Oh, nope. All right, let's go ahead and move into the safety of this kink, and not just safety.
Safety zone.
Actually, no, we're not even going to go safety first. We're going to tell you how the best to achieve squirting, because I have actually researched this. First of all, hydration. It is a liquid. It is coming out of your body. If you're not properly hydrated, it will impact the amount you squirt and the consistency of what you squirt. Believe it or not, it can also impact the smell. Though if you hydrate a good deal, it will be a much, and I only know this because I looked it up. I Googled it, so I'm cheating. I know Rebecca right now is looking at me like, go ahead, tell me how this happens. And I'm like, I actually looked up and researched.
I am fascinated to know what you have researched. I really am. I am fascinated to know what is out there, because I don't have to research it, because it is something that I have experienced and I know firsthand. So I am actually very interested in the information.
She read the books.
Well, then I tell you what. Yeah, you are somebody who does it more regularly. Tell me how on point I am with the information I have found. How about that?
You are very much so, and that's why I didn't stop you. If you were going to say something incorrectly, I would stop you. I'm not going to let you misinform our audience.
Don't stop, John.
I am going to add. Okay, so if this is something you want to experience, great. If this is something that you do, then you already know. And for those who enjoy making their partner squirt, remember there is only so many fluids that you can excrete from your body before you start getting dehydrated. And then it's not just I feel uncomfortable in my naughty bits. You start getting dehydrated. You start getting sick to your stomach. You start getting dizzy. It's not a thing that you want to say, oh, how many times can I make them squirt and whatever. Because that is a safety issue and a health issue. So that is what I wanted to add to that, is that yes, be hydrated. Yes, all of that information is correct. But after the fact, hydration is also important. You need to replenish the fluids that are coming out of your body.
Drink Gatorade. It's what vaginas crave.
Oh my God.
It's got all electrolytes. It's what vaginas crave.
Gatorade.
Another fun fact is that female ejaculation is not. A lot of people think, oh, it's wetter down there, more lube. Does not actually act as a lube. It actually dries rather quickly and does not help with the lubrication process. So if you are normally need lubrication and you cause your partner to, and they squirt, you will still need lubrication because this does not function as a lubricant at all. It actually dries pretty quickly and it's not even sticky. In most of my experiences, at least, it's not a sticky substance. It's more like it was there, it dries, it was gone. You still want to bathe afterwards, though.
It's think the consistency of water, because that's basically what it is. It is a liquid. It is not a lubrication. Your body is not making that as a lubrication. It is a fluid. And I know that some people don't like that word, but that's exactly what it is. It is a fluid. It is not, it is not meant to...
It is much different than the natural lubrication that a woman produces. This is two different substances. Which that's probably one of the biggest misconceptions is people go, oh, and I'm like, nope. I've experienced
when your lady says I'm so wet, that is not the liquid she's talking about. Like when she's dripping on down her leg, not the dripping you want. Like it's like you want to make sure you're making her wet in the right ways.
Two different things. Now, some points of tips for more pleasurable experiences. Alcohol will cause issues with you because the consumption of alcohol in large quantities not only dehydrates you, but can create foul odors in female ejaculation. I did not believe this at first, but I've had some experiences where, and when I read this, I was kind of like, that kind of makes sense from experiences I've had. And I'm not saying foul like it stinks horribly. I'm talking like a lot of times the fluid has no smell whatsoever, and then it has a off smell. And so I'm reading this fact and I'm like, wait a minute. I've experienced this while we were intoxicated, and it was a different experience. It wasn't an unpleasant one by any stretch of the means, but it was a noticeable difference. And so that kind of validated I was like, wait a minute. I've experienced this. Have you ever experienced that, Miss Rebecca?
Slight musk to it, yes.
It does. It gives it a musk.
Slight musk.
That is actually the best description I could tell you. It is a slight musk, in my experience. Have you ever experienced that, Miss Rebecca? Like when there have been copious amounts of alcohol applied to it.
I am sitting here thinking about that.
Yes, musk would be
I agree. I think it's more musky when I'm dehydrated because I'm thinking about it. I don't squirt often when I'm intoxicated because it affects my body. So usually when it happens, I'm sober.
And and that's pretty much what it is. It's the same with dehydration and alcohol. If you're dehydrating yourself, you're going to produce more of the raw chemical, less water chemical. So you can have more pheromones in there. This may be a thing that like you really like. So, tips to you if you want really musky ejaculant, alcohol.
Yeah, isn't alcohol just like a natural dehydration factor on its own?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
I can definitely see that.
But as far as preparations, towels are always encouraged, but if you know your amount, plan accordingly. I have had experiences where you're like, well, we're going to have to let this dry for a while before we can lay on it. Because we did not. Oh, and Miss Rebecca. Yeah.
I can help with this one. Okay. All right. If you know you're a squirter, invest in a waterproof blanket. And I don't mean like a waterproof blanket like you get it for the picnics, which are okay. They just make a lot of noise. You can you can find them on Amazon, and they're pet blankets. And you can get them, they're like queen, king size, and they're really soft, and they are waterproof. And I didn't think so until I saw like a friend of mine pour a glass of water on theirs, and it just sort of like beads up And it'll get like a little wet on the top, but doesn't soak through at all. And I was like, that's the most amazing shit I've ever seen. Like my life was changed from that moment on. So towels in a pinch if you have to, but if you're like at home or you are in a place, purchase a waterproof blanket. You will never go back.
I mean, honestly, as someone who has spilled water on himself, the waterproof blankets are just smart investments. Mattress coverings protects. If you're a kinky individual or active sex life, it gets messy. Well, properly prepare for all kink eventualities. As far as like,
go ahead.
Oh, go ahead. No, go ahead.
I was just saying. I'm just smiling at the fact of this was also the moment where all the doms with pets out there were like, pet blankets, you say? Perfect sound. Waterproof pet blankets. Perfect, yes.
And they're not expensive. They're like $25, $30. They're in my wish list. Like, you know.
You heard it here, folks. It's on her wish list. Find it.
Also, as somebody who is a squirter, there are a couple safety things that I would like to point out. You can, it's not like make them squirt in various positions on various surfaces. So we talked about waterproof blankets and, in making surfaces wet. That also means tile and wood floors. It makes it very slick. And I have in my younger days, somebody has slipped and fallen. And it was not a pleasant experience. You can hurt yourself.
Are you telling me they slipped in your ejaculate? That makes me so happy on so many levels because I imagine it being the most cartoonish experience ever. And you have to look at each other and go, you just slipped in ejaculate. You're welcome.
Thank you, John. Thank you thank you. It was not a humiliating experience for me whatsoever. That's okay.
It's in the past now. Now you gotta laugh about it.
Come on. Did it end in the perfect way? Did you hear like a little whisper? Still worth it.
No, I was mortified. Because to be honest, I am not a light squirter. I am not. And so I was mortified. As a young adult still discovering myself and everything else, I was absolutely mortified.
I mean, I can understand. I you know what, I can get behind that. I think that's where I differ. I would find that, and it would be the funnest story I would ever tell for all times. It would be much more impressive if someone slipped on my ejaculate because it is not that amount. So that would take some real planning on my part, which I haven't given up hope on.
I am pointing that out because, you can have fun anywhere. And this is one that wherever you can point it, it can happen. So I am just saying, be careful of slippery when wet.
So you do squirt enough to make for slippery surfaces, but never enough to press somebody against the wall with it or anything yet. That's good.
No,
you don't fire hydrant them.
I do not fire hydrant. No, no, I do not.
Could you put out a small fire? That's my okay. Now here we go. Now let's get to the real science, the real hard hitting questions. Could you put a fire out?
First, you need to know if my vagina steams. Now you need to know if I can put out a small fire and the ounces in my belly button. What?
This is why I love this podcast because we're answering the hard hitting questions. Could your vagina be used as a fire extinguisher? Like
that would be
your
the
partner runs in.
like orgasm ever. Like, I feel like my clit would be the one on fire.
Your partner runs in, quick, there's a fire, take off your pants.
I don't know. I guess we'll have to leave that one up to science.
I'm going to start, every time I think you're about to get your freak on, I'm going to start setting small fires everywhere.
What
and
the
just burst in daring and be like, we need you. On that note.
You just hear the match in the other room. And I'll be like, no! A lighter.
And you get that little spidey sense, and then it starts revving up. I hear fire.
Don't you dare, John!
All right, on that note, I say it's time to spin the wheel and see what subject we were talking about next week. This has been a fun subject.
We should have spun it way earlier. Damn it. Okay.
Nope, I think we nailed it.
To the wall.
You know,
oh my god.
Skeet, motherfucker. We're putting out small fires.
Yeah.
So next week, one of my favorite subjects on this thing is how I research topics. Like what I do to really get a good mental picture of the fetish we're talking about. And so I kind of want to go into my research process because a lot of people actually have this as their kink.
Porn.
When they're doing, there you go. She nailed it. Point to Rebecca. Next week we are actually talking about porn as it is a kink because there are several people who get off watching it. I mean, it is essentially that. It's sex.
Don't we talk about that every week?
We don't. Not as a fetish or a kink. This is actually a very popular one.
We're crossing the border from research to fetish.
Yeah.
I mean, absolutely. This has been on the wheel for quite some time because it is essentially where fetishes are discovered, where they're explored, and a lot of people have a fetish where they cannot get off. This is a very what's the word I'm looking for? 3, 2, 1. No, voyeur is where you watch, right?
Voyeur. It's a voyeuristic.
This is a very voyeuristic fetish. But they don't want real people involved, so it is absolutely...
Yes. This fetish is where many a lonely person gets all their frustrations released.
Mm-hmm. Well, I want to remind everyone that you can follow us on that Dinks with Kinks social media. And guys, we have rating systems now on all the podcast apps. We need ratings. So if you're listening to this, give us a rating. Mark a little star, 1 to 5, 200 stars, just whatever you see fit. Give us them 10. Stars.
We're number one. Yeah.
Rate me, Daddy. Tell me I'm a good girl.
Enunciate them T's. Just
rate.
Just enunciate them T's right there.
They can only rate so hard.
They can only rate so hard. Give me those
I'm gonna
stars.
rate you so hard. I'm sorry, what? But yeah, give us a rating. Tell your friends about us. You know, next time you're at church, be like, hey, I'm listening to this new podcast. It's great. This is very work friendly. Just take us to work with you. Tell your boss about us. I am your host, John Dondero, and with me, as always, the man who we all would like to see in a little bit of porn, Mr. Shep.
I mean, it's out there. Until next time.
And a woman who would do it in a heartbeat if she could get away with it, Miss Rebecca. You know you totally want to be a porn star. Yeah, I saw that smile going your face.
Okay. You're not wrong. Good night, everyone.
Good night.